There are rare moments in a lifetime when we meet someone who does not simply enter our world, but awakens it. This person does not pull us away from ourselves, but leads us back into the depths we once abandoned. Love, at its highest form, is not a comforting escape, it's a revelation. And the person who is truly meant for you does not merely fit your life. They illuminate the hidden architecture of your inner universe. Here are 5 signs that this person may be the love of your life. 1. They reflect your hidden self. The one who is truly yours does not simply complement your personality. They mirror the unconscious parts you have not yet learned to face. Sometimes this reflection feels warm, like recognition. Other times it feels uncomfortable, like seeing a truth you had long avoided, yet you cannot turn away. This person awakens forgotten instincts, repressed desires, and dormant strengths. They show you who you are becoming. If someone evokes this deep inner recognition, if you feel seen at a level no mask can hide, that is not coincidence. That is destiny working through human form. 2. Your connection feels older than your first meeting. When you meet someone who is meant for your life's deeper journey, the connection does not feel new. Instead, it carries the strange familiarity of something ancient. It is as though you are continuing a conversation that began long before both of you were born. You cannot explain why their presence feels like déjà vu, or why your soul relaxes as though returning to a forgotten home. This timelessness is a sign of profound psychological resonance. It is a bond formed not only through attraction but through archetypal memory, the sense that your paths were intertwined long before you realized it. 3. They trigger growth, not dependence. The love of your life will not let you remain a smaller version of yourself. They do not inflate your ego, they challenge it. They invite you to grow beyond your fears, your wounds, your patterns. They push you toward authenticity, sometimes gently, sometimes with the force of necessary truth. You may resist at first, feeling your inner world shaken, but you eventually recognize that their presence expands you. This person does not trap you emotionally. They liberate the parts of you that you had buried. When love pushes you to evolve rather than shrink, it is a sign of a profound soul-level connection. Your shadows don't frighten them. There is a moment in deep love where you reveal your darkness, not the curated fragments, but the raw, unpolished truth. Most people retreat when confronted with this side of another human being, but the one meant for you does not. They do not run, judge, or shrink back. Instead, they approach with understanding, not because they are fearless, but because they sense that your shadow is part of your wholeness. They see your wounds without trying to fix or exploit them. This is rare. This is sacred. When someone accepts your light and your shadows with equal reverence, that is a sign they are woven into your inner destiny. 5. Your souls move in the same direction. True love is not merely chemistry, it is alignment. It is when 2 inner worlds, no matter how different, move toward a shared horizon. This person does not just walk beside you, they walk with the same deeper intention. You feel it in your conversations, your silence, your unspoken desires for the future. Even when life becomes chaotic, something in both of you gravitates toward unity rather than separation. You don't fight to stay connected. Something deeper keeps pulling you together. When your values, instincts, and inner journeys align with such harmony, it is more than compatibility. It is purpose. If you've found someone who reflects you, challenges you, understands your shadows, awaken ancient familiarity, and walks with you toward the same inner horizon, cherish them, not because they complete you, but because they reveal the parts of you that were waiting for love. To activate them, the right person reflects your hidden self and awakens parts of you that were dormant, and this experience is unlike anything you have ever felt before because it moves far beyond surface attraction or ordinary emotional comfort. It feels as if someone has stepped into your internal landscape with a lantern, illuminating corners you didn't even know existed, bringing clarity to things you used to only sense in fragments. When such a person enters your life, you notice that they don't simply respond to the version of you that the world sees every day. They respond to the deeper layers, the untold stories, the quiet thoughts, the private fears, and the forgotten strengths. You find yourself surprised by how naturally they understand things about you that you rarely articulate. This recognition feels almost mystical, as if they have decoded an inner language that even you have struggled to interpret. You start seeing your emotional patterns more clearly, your motivations become easier to trace, and aspects of your personality that once felt confusing begin to make sense. What you previously suppressed or ignored rises gently to the surface, not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that feels safe and strangely necessary. as though those neglected parts of yourself have been waiting for this moment of acknowledgement. This person doesn't just make you feel loved, they make you feel known. They become a mirror, revealing both the qualities you are proud of and the sides of you that you have kept hidden. And it's not a harsh reflection, but a truthful one that helps you understand the patterns that shape your behavior, the conflicts that grip your emotions, the fears that interrupt your relationships, and the desires that have always lived quietly beneath your choices. They show you how your strengths have been shaped by your struggles, how your vulnerability is not a flaw but a doorway to deeper connection, and how your past has carved a space for the person you are becoming. It is as if they help you translate your own soul, bringing coherence to something that felt scattered before they arrived. You might find yourself opening up without effort, saying things you had never expressed, revealing memories or feelings you didn't plan to share. And instead of feeling exposed, you feel understood, as if they were meant to witness those parts of you. Their presence awakens qualities you forgot you had or never realized were part of you. You notice yourself becoming more empathetic, more courageous, more honest, or more expressive. You begin to rediscover passions, dreams, and strengths that had been sleeping inside you. Something about their energy calls those qualities forward, encouraging your growth without forcing it. You don't feel pressured to be someone else. You feel inspired to be more of who you already are. You start recognizing that there were dormant potentials within you that needed a certain kind of connection to come alive. It's not that they complete you or fill a void. It's that they activate something that was always yours but had been quietly waiting for the right moment to awaken. This person may also reveal difficult truths about you, not through criticism, but through their ability to show you what you've been unconsciously carrying. You might notice old wounds resurfacing or long-forgotten insecurities becoming visible, not because they caused them, but because their presence makes it safe for you to confront them. When a soul-level connection enters your life, it becomes harder to hide from yourself. You see your emotional triggers more clearly, your reactions become more understandable, and the mechanisms you built long ago for protection now rise into your awareness. This awakening isn't always comfortable, but it is transformative because it allows you to heal and grow in ways that solitude alone could never have achieved. Through them, you begin to understand which parts of yourself were shaped by fear, which by love, which by necessity, and which by avoidance. You uncover strengths you didn't know were connected to old pain. You see vulnerabilities that are actually gateways to deeper intimacy. Their role in your life feels almost symbolic, as if they arrived not just to accompany you but to help you evolve. You realize that the connection isn't random or shallow. It has a depth that touches your identity. You feel more awake, more aware, and more connected to the truth of who you are. They become a psychological catalyst, bringing forward inner material that you might never have faced on your own. Their presence helps you peel back the layers you built around yourself, layers that once served you but now limit your growth. You begin to understand your past with new clarity, your present with more sincerity, and your future with greater openness. You feel yourself changing, not into someone new, but into someone more whole. What makes this experience even more profound is that the awakening they stir within you is not one-sided. You sense that they, too, are transformed by the connection, creating a reciprocal unfolding where both of you discover more about yourselves through each other. The relationship becomes a space where authenticity is not only allowed but required, where masks fall naturally, and where truth becomes the foundation of your bond. You feel drawn to their inner world just as they are drawn to yours, creating a synergy that deepens with every vulnerable moment. This is not a connection based on superficial attraction or convenient compatibility. It is rooted in psychological resonance, in the meeting of two inner worlds that recognize something familiar in one another. You may realize that this awakening is not accidental, but part of a larger movement within your life, guiding you toward a more integrated and self-aware existence. This person becomes a living symbol of your inner transformation, a reminder that love is not only about emotional fulfillment, but also about psychological expansion. They help you see your shadows without fear, your gifts without doubt, and your potential without hesitation. Their presence calls you to step into your true self, guiding you beyond the limitations you once accepted as permanent. Through them, you begin to experience yourself more deeply, more honestly, and more courageous, discovering dimensions of your identity that had long been dormant, waiting for this rare and powerful connection to awaken them. When a connection feels older than the moment you first met, it carries a strange weight that defies logic, time, and memory. You sit in front of this person and realize that nothing about their presence feels new, even though your rational mind insists that you've just begun to know them. There is a quiet familiarity in their voice, a sense of recognition in their eyes, an unexplainable ease in the way your energy settles when they are near. This sensation does not feel like excitement or infatuation, it feels like remembrance, as if something in your inner world has been waiting for their arrival, and when they finally appeared, an ancient door within you swung open without effort. You don't have to try to understand them because your spirit already does. The connection feels like it belongs to a story that has been unfolding long before either of you consciously stepped into it. And now you are simply continuing a dialogue that your heart somehow began long ago. There's a depth in your conversations that arises instantly, not because you force it, but because something between you naturally gravitates toward meaning rather than small talk. Even silences feel effortless, almost comforting, as though your souls are communicating beneath the surface while your minds rest. You may find yourself talking about things you rarely share with others, revealing memories you don't usually revisit, or expressing truths you didn't realize were waiting to be spoken. Their presence draws out authenticity from you, not by demanding it, but by reminding you that you've met them somewhere inside yourself before. This familiarity feels like emotional déjà vu. You may think, I've felt this before, even though you know you haven't. Yet the feeling persists, deepening every time your eyes meet or your hands brush, or your thoughts unexpectedly align. This experience doesn't feel rushed, but it also doesn't feel slow. It unfolds with a natural rhythm, like something returning to its rightful place. You sense a quiet pull toward them, not fueled by anxiety or need, but by a calm recognition that you are supposed to be near each other. It's not the chaotic intensity that people often mistake for love. It's a peaceful certainty that settles in your chest, a feeling that whispers, this is familiar. Even when everything about the situation should feel new, the bond begins to feel like a continuation rather than a beginning, as if you are remembering rather than learning, discovering rather than pursuing, reconnecting rather than meeting. Sometimes this familiarity shows up in the smallest ways. The way they speak mirrors your inner voice. The way they laugh reminds you of a joy you thought you had lost. The way they move through the world feels aligned with something deep inside you. Their perspectives, even when different, resonate with parts of your psyche you rarely share. It might be the way they understand your emotions before you explain them, the way they finish your sentences not by guessing but by sensing the direction of your thoughts, or the way they pause before speaking as if considering something you haven't yet expressed. These moments create an atmosphere that feels like memory, even though it isn't. It feels like recognition, even though you can't trace it back to any moment in your past. The connection may also feel timeless in the way it shifts your perception of reality. You might feel that, though time moves differently around them, stretching and collapsing in ways that don't make sense. Hours feel like minutes. Days apart feel heavier than they should. Your mind marks their presence not by the calendar but by the depth of the moments shared. The bond grows in intensity without explanation, and you realize that what you feel for them has little to do with how long you've known them, and everything to do with the mysterious resonance between your inner worlds. It's as if your souls recognize each other's patterns, rhythms, and emotional landscapes, even before your conscious minds catch up. This feeling of ancient connection often reveals itself in your emotions as well. You might feel safe with them almost instantly, not because they've proven themselves through actions or time, but because something deep inside you relaxes in their presence. It's the kind of safety that doesn't come from logic but from intuition. On the other hand, you might also feel a sudden vulnerability, as if they have the ability to touch parts of you that no one else ever reaches. This vulnerability isn't frightening, it's honest. It feels like you're standing in front of someone who sees through the layers you didn't even realize you were wearing. There's no need to pretend or perform because something within you recognizes that authenticity is the natural state of this connection. Your emotional responses to them may feel amplified, as if they awaken dormant feelings or stir memories your mind has forgotten but your heart still holds. They might remind you of a place you've never visited, or evoke emotions that feel like echoes from another time. When they speak, you might feel as though you've been waiting years to hear their voice. When they touch you, the sensation may feel more like a reunion than a beginning. Even moments of disagreement carry a strange softness, as if the conflict is not a threat but merely another layer of understanding waiting to unfold. This ancient familiarity doesn't always make sense in the early stages of the connection, and yet it refuses to fade. You may try to reason it away, convincing yourself that it's just chemistry or coincidence. But the truth is that it feels deeper than attraction and more enduring than coincidence. There is a symbolic quality to the way the relationship unfolds, as if your inner worlds have been orbiting each other long before your physical paths crossed. It can feel like fate, not in a dramatic sense, but in a quiet, grounded way, as the something larger than your conscious choices is guiding you toward each other. You might also notice a sense of synchronicity around this person, small, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfectly aligned to ignore. You think of them, and they call. You wonder about something, and they answer, without you asking. You find that your emotional cycles match, your thoughts overlap, or your experiences mirror one another in uncanny ways. These moments reinforce the sense that your connection is not random, but part of a larger psychological narrative unfolding between you. It feels like two paths that were always meant to intersect finally converging at the right moment in your life, creating a sense of inevitability that you can't quite explain. The familiarity of the connection doesn't just comfort you, it transforms you. It opens parts of your inner world that have remained closed to others. It brings forth a sense of meaning, purpose, and clarity that you didn't realize were missing. You start to see yourself more clearly through the lens of this bond, recognizing desires, wounds, and strengths that were previously hidden. This person becomes both a mirror and a companion, reflecting your inner truth while walking beside you through it. The relationship feels like an anchor and a horizon at the same time, grounding you in the present while reminding you of something eternal. There is a sense that your souls have known each other long before your minds met, and this recognition creates a bond that feels timeless, rooted not in circumstance but in the deeper currents of your inner world. They inspire your growth, challenging you to evolve rather than remain small, and this influence unfolds in ways that are subtle at first but undeniable over time. When someone is truly aligned with your inner development, their presence naturally pushes you toward becoming more conscious, more honest, and more whole. They don't push you through force or criticism, they awaken your desire to rise. They make you aware of the parts of yourself that have stayed hidden, the habits you've outgrown, the fears you've carried for too long. Their impact is like a quiet invitation to step into a higher version of yourself, a version you may have sensed but never fully accessed. Instead of enabling your avoidance, they gently hold up a mirror, encouraging you to see what needs healing, what needs releasing, and what needs embracing. Their energy nudges you towards self-awareness, not for their benefit but for your own, because they recognize potential within you that you may have been ignoring or doubting. You begin noticing how your thoughts shift around them. Your conversations with them naturally open deeper pathways in your mind, unlocking insights you didn't realize were there. They ask questions that lead you inward, toward places you rarely explore on your own. They don't judge your vulnerabilities or dismiss your insecurities. Instead, they help you understand the origins behind them. They encourage reflection without demanding it, creating a space where you feel safe enough to be honest with yourself. This inner honesty becomes the foundation for growth. You start recognizing patterns you repeat in relationships, the stories you tell yourself about your worth, the doubts that hold you back, and the habits you cling to for comfort even though they no longer serve you. Through their presence, these patterns become visible, and what was once unconscious begins to rise into your awareness. Their influence challenges you not by creating conflict, but by awakening your desire to expand beyond your limitation. They introduce you to perspectives you never considered, not to control your mind, but to broaden it. You may find yourself questioning ideas you used to defend, reevaluating the beliefs you inherited, and examining the emotional walls you built long before they arrived. Their presence makes stagnation feel uncomfortable, while growth feels natural and necessary. You begin to feel a stronger pull toward authenticity, as if you no longer want to hide behind the versions of yourself that were built for survival rather than truth. They inspire you to live in alignment with who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. There is something about the way this person moves through life that encourages you to confront your own fears with more courage. You notice their strength, their self-awareness, their honesty, or their emotional depth, and it inspires you to cultivate the same within yourself. You don't try to become them, you try to become yourself, more fully and more consciously. You start taking responsibility for your emotions, your choices, and your healing. Their presence makes you want to grow, not to earn their love, but because love itself becomes a catalyst for becoming more whole. You begin to understand yourself better, recognizing the wounds that shaped you and the dreams that call to you. Their influence helps you see that you are capable of more than you once believed. They don't let you shrink into the smaller versions of yourself that you built to protect your heart. Instead, they encourage you to express your thoughts honestly, to pursue your passions courageously, and to face your fears with clarity. This encouragement often comes not through direct advice, but through the emotional and psychological environment they create around you. You feel grounded in their presence, able to explore the deeper layers of your inner world without fear of judgment. You feel challenged, not in a harsh way, but in a way that awakens your resilience. Even moments of misunderstanding or disagreement between you become opportunities for growth, because instead of running from conflict, they encourage emotional truth. This makes you confront your tendencies to avoid discomfort, shut down, or hide your feelings. You start learning how to communicate more honestly, how to listen more deeply, and how to connect more authentically. Their presence also influences the practical dimensions of your life. You may find yourself becoming more disciplined, more focused, or more intentional. Their example motivates you to take better care of yourself, emotionally and physically. You start planning your future with more clarity, setting goals that align with your values, and letting go of habits that keep you stuck. Their influence becomes a stabilizing force, guiding you toward a version of life where you aren't running from yourself but building yourself. They make you realize that you have the capacity to grow in all areas of your life, and that growth is not something to fear but something to embrace. This kind of person does not allow you to stay hidden behind excuses or fears. They encourage authenticity in a way that makes dishonesty feel heavy and truth feel liberating. You feel more open with them, more willing to express difficult emotions, more willing to share your dreams, your doubts, and your inner conflicts. They help you see that vulnerability is not a weakness but a bridge to deeper understanding. You begin recognizing the ways in which you shrink yourself in the presence of others, but with this person you find yourself expanding instead. They awaken the desire to show up fully, to be present, to embrace your potential, and to stop hiding behind the roles you once adopted for safety. Even their presence during difficult moments becomes part of your growth. If you pull away emotionally, they help you understand why. If you fear abandonment, their stability slowly rewires that fear. If you struggle with trust, their consistency begins to shift your internal narrative. They don't fix your wounds for you, they give you space to heal them yourself. And in doing so, they become a part of your transformation. You find yourself becoming someone who feels capable of love, capable of openness, capable of emotional depth. Their influence strengthens you not through control, but through understanding. Over time, you realize that what they awaken within you is not dependence, but independence. They don't want you to rely on them for your identity. They want you to find your identity more fully through your own growth. They support you without overshadowing you, guide you without directing you, and encourage you without shaping you into something you are not. Their love becomes a catalyst for becoming your truest self, the version of you that has been waiting beneath the surface, waiting for someone who sees your potential and reflects it back to you. And through this experience, you begin to understand that their role in your life is not to carry you, but to awaken you. They become the spark that lights the path inward, the presence that helps you rise into yourself, the influence that reminds you that growth is not just possible but inevitable when love is real. They accept both your light and your shadows, creating a space where you feel entirely seen, not as a fragmented version of yourself, but as a whole being with complexities, contradictions, hopes, and wounds. This acceptance is not passive. It is an active recognition of your humanity. When someone is truly meant for your life in a deep, transformative way, they do not only admire the qualities you proudly display, they also recognize the parts you try to hide. They don't turn away from your insecurities, your emotional triggers, your fears, or the darker corners of your personality that you hesitate to reveal. Instead, they approach these aspects with understanding, curiosity, and compassion. Their acceptance does not mean they excuse unhealthy behavior. It means they see those behaviors as expressions of wounds rather than flaws, and they meet them with patience rather than judgment. You notice this acceptance in the way they respond to your vulnerability. When you reveal something painful, embarrassing, or difficult, they do not recoil or change the way they look at you. Their presence remains steady. Their affection remains unchanged. And their eyes reflect not disappointment, but a deeper understanding. This creates a rare emotional safety, where you don't feel the need to hide behind perfection or composure. You begin to trust that you can be fully human with them, not just present your strengths, but but reveal your struggles. This kind of acceptance is grounding. It makes you feel that your emotional landscape, even the stormy parts, can be held without fear of abandonment. This person's acceptance of your shadows also prompts you to accept them within yourself. You begin to realize that the parts of your personality you once rejected or ignored are not evidence of unworthiness. They are pieces of your story, shaped by experiences that left their imprint. When they see your shadow and remain close, your own relationship with your inner darkness transforms. You start recognizing where your fear comes from, where your anger originates, where your sadness has roots. Their compassion becomes a mirror, helping you face these parts without shame. This is not the kind of acceptance that encourages stagnation, it encourages healing. When someone can handle your vulnerability without wavering, it inspires you to grow into a version of yourself that is more honest and more integrated. Their acceptance is not blind or naive, it is discerning. They do not romanticize your flaws, nor do they inflate your strengths. Instead, they understand your emotional patterns and respond to them with sensitivity. When you have moments of doubt, they don't dismiss them. They help you explore where those doubts come from. When your past wounds influence your present reactions, they don't criticize you. They try to understand the origin of your reactions. This understanding helps you see your own emotions more clearly. It encourages the inner work that makes intimacy possible. Their acceptance is not enabling, it is empowering. They want you to grow, but they don't demand that you change to be worthy of love. You feel the depth of their acceptance in the way they respond to your emotional shifts. They don't take your fear personally, they don't run from your sadness, and they don't shut down when you express discomfort. Instead, they remain open. This openness creates a sense of emotional stability you may not have experienced before. It helps you recognize that intimacy does not require perfection. You do not need to hide your mood swings, your doubts, or your imperfections. You are allowed to be real. This honesty becomes the foundation of trust, and trust becomes the foundation of love. Through this process, you learn how to show up authentically, and in doing so, you also learn how to receive love more fully. Their acceptance extends to your past as well. They do not hold your old mistakes or heartbreaks against you. They understand that your past has shaped your decisions, your defenses, and your dreams. They listen without judgment when you talk about experiences that wounded you. They don't minimize what you've been through or try to compete with your pain. Instead, they hold space, allowing you to process your memories without feeling rushed or misunderstood. This kind of presence helps you integrate your past rather than feel controlled by it. You begin to release old narratives that once defined you, not because they erase your history, but because they help you see your past through the lens of growth rather than regret. Your shadows don't frighten them, not because they are invulnerable, but because they understand their own. They are aware of their imperfections, their emotional patterns, their unhealed wounds. This shared awareness creates a bond that feels equal, balanced, and deeply human. You don't feel inferior or superior to them. You feel connected. The relationship becomes a meeting of two inner worlds, each with light and darkness, strength and vulnerability. This mutual understanding creates harmony, even when emotions become intense. You realize that the relationship is not built on illusion or idealization, but on truth, and truth creates a love that is resilient. Their acceptance also shows in the way they give you space when you need it. They don't cling or suffocate. They understand that emotional processing sometimes requires solitude, and they respect that without withdrawing their affection. Their patience gives you room to breathe, to reflect, to navigate your inner world without feeling pressured to be constantly available. This space is not a threat to the relationship, it strengthens it. It allows both of you to remain individuals within the connection, whole people who choose each other freely rather than out of emotional dependence. You begin to notice that with them, your emotional defenses slowly relax. You don't feel the need to pretend, to perform, or to protect yourself through emotional distance. Their acceptance encourages you to speak your truth, express your needs, and share your insecurities. You discover that honesty doesn't destroy connection, it deepens it. The more open you become, the more the bond grows. You learn that true intimacy requires courage, but that courage is easier to access when someone holds your heart with gentleness. This person's acceptance also reveals itself in their ability to forgive. They understand that emotional reactions are not always logical, that misunderstandings happen, that healing is not linear. When conflict arises, they don't weaponize your vulnerability or use your fears against you. They approach conflict with a desire to understand rather than to win. This approach transforms disagreements into opportunities for deeper connection. You no longer fear conflict as a sign of impending disconnection. Instead, you see it as part of the journey toward deeper understanding. Their acceptance becomes a force that slowly reshapes the way you see yourself. You begin to believe in your own worth. You start recognizing the beauty in your complexity rather than viewing it as a burden. You begin to understand that you do not need to hide your inner world to be loved, because someone has shown you that your inner world is not too much, it is meaningful. Through their acceptance, you learn to accept yourself. Through their understanding, you learn to understand yourself. Through their love, you learn to embrace the parts of you that once felt unlovable.